kind of following this journey. And just so you know what happens to these people is God rescues them from slavery by passing over their doors. You guys remember that? He rescues them from slavery, and then they get into the wilderness, and what was supposed to be a few-week journey, when you read the Bible, ends up taking about 4 books of the Bible, and it takes them 40 years to get there. And so I thought to myself, how many people, when it comes to their relationship with other people, instead of just listening to God, because that's what these people did, they just constantly kind of questioned God, instead of just listening to God and getting there at a quicker pace, they said just kind of wander around in a circle, looking for answers, but never really seeking God's face. So my hope for this series is you would get godly wisdom and godly advice, and you would go, not only is that something that's interesting, but I'm actually going to do something with that. I hope that couples that are living together, that you get married at the end of this sermon series. I think it would be really cool to do a big ceremony at the end of this series and just marry a bunch of people, and I'll wear my suit for the only Sunday I've ever worn a suit, and you can wear your wedding dress or whatever you want to wear, and we'll just marry people. And then I think it would be cool. You think I'm joking. I'm not joking. And then there's people that you've hated each other for 10 years, and through this series, you know, God's going to do something in your marriage, and you just want to recommit. And there's nothing, what better way to do it than stand right here before everybody and recommit? I'm not sure. Some of you were dating somebody you shouldn't have been dating, and you've broken up with them. That's what I hoped would happen. I don't want to cause you heartache, but I do want to save you heartache. Some of you were living together, and you moved out because you're not married yet, and you're doing it right. I'm not sure what's happening. Some of you haven't known what you're doing, and you're starting to figure out, I've been doing it all wrong. And so that's been my hope for this series. So the first week I said, look, every decision you make has to be filtered through Jesus, through who he is, through what he says that you are, through what your value is through him. So filter it through Jesus. It will save you a lot of pain. And then last week we talked through Leviticus, and I told you, I said, a lot of times we read stuff in the Bible where we're like, I don't quite understand that in this world. And I said, here's the truth. Because we talked about sex. I said, if God's ideas for sex seem out of this world, then his plan for your sex life is probably out of this world. Can I get an amen on that? Like the sex life that many people experience on this earth is full of shame and pain and hurt and constant just insecurity. And God's plan is that you would be naked in your garden, which we can call your home, with your spouse, and there would be no shame. And if you're a guy, you're like, that is my dream. Like, I've dreamed of that since the day that I was born, that clothes would be optional, that my wife would just walk in the house, her clothes would just fall off. It's incredible. And so anyway, so that's kind of where we're at today. Today I want to talk to you, and for the next week, I want to talk to you about getting prepared and about false expectations. Getting prepared for marriage, if you found that person, if you're single, understanding what you're looking for, getting prepared, and then many false expectations, which if you're married, maybe you went into marriage believing these. So next week we're going to talk about false expectations. Today I want to talk to you about getting prepared, and that's entirely what the book of Numbers is about. If you are in your Bible, it goes Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, is them meeting God at the Mount of Sinai and making this covenant with him, and then it's like, okay, it's time to go. But before you go, let's go over everything else. Let me write the book of Numbers with you. And the book of Numbers is exactly what it sounds like. It's a very creative title, because what Moses did is he separates all of the tribes of Israel by their heritage, and then he counts out and does a census, and then he determines how many men that he has to get ready for battle, because when they get to the promised land, they're going to have to do some butt whooping before they go in. You're going to see that. And so Moses says, before we go anywhere, in Numbers 1, check out what it says. In Numbers 1, verse 1, it says, the Lord spoke to Moses in the tent of meeting in the desert of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year, after the Israelites came out of Egypt. He said, take a census of the whole Israelite community by their clans and families, listing every man name one by one. In other words, figure out who you have so you know who you have to roll with. Take your time before you get to the promised land. Let's not all just run to the promised land and get there, because there's going to be an army. There's going to be a battle. There's going to be a war to win. So let's get prepared for the war. Many people would say that marriage is a war. You understand what I'm saying? Marriage is a battle, and you learn that very early on, that if you fight together, it's a lot better. If you fight and you try to win, if you're a husband, you always lose. So that's just a lesson for you right there that you need to write down if you're a single person. If you fight with your wife and you ever win, you lose, right? Like, you always lose. Just say, yes, ma'am, you're right. I love you. You're so beautiful. Thank God you gave me to you. How did you get to be just like Jesus, and you're perfect, and all that stuff? That's just what you say to your wife. And so anyway, just write that down if you're here. If you're having marriage problems and you're a guy, it's probably why you haven't figured out yet your wife knows everything. So anyway, he says, get ready. all the guys are like, yep. Get ready before you get there is what he's saying. And that's what I want to do today. A lot of people say, how do you have a success in life? Is there like a thing? Like, you know how it's always like, I want to get in shape. Is there a video I can work 10 minutes a day from my home while sitting on my lazy boy and get in shape? And every infomercial will be like, it takes 30 minutes a day. And now it's like, it takes 25 minutes a day. And now some other dude comes on, and he's like, it takes 9 minutes and 99 seconds a day, and you're going to give me, and that's not even a time, you're going to give me $1,000, and you can literally sit and watch me, and you'll perspirate. And we're all like, I'll do that. Like, we always want to know, what does it take to have success? And here's what I figured out in life, that there are no secrets to success in anything, especially marriage. It's always the result of hard work and preparation. It's always the result of you doing hard work, being willing to be a hard worker. Marriages fall apart because two people are not hard workers when it comes to the relationship. They work really hard on the other side, and they do everything they can to be impressive, and then they get married, and they stop working. And then it's being prepared. And that's what I want to do with you today. I want to kind of take you into a story in the book of Song of Solomon. And if you've never read the book of Song of Solomon, it is the greatest chapter on relationships the Bible has. Because basically what it is it's a man and a woman who meet, fall in love, date, do all those things, prepare a wedding, get married, go through marriage problems, figure it back out. And it's a great guidebook if you want to be in relationships. It's also very poetic if you're like that. I don't understand most of it unless I study it, but that's kind of the outline of where it goes. It's meet, greet, date, love, marriage, fight, which is the process for everybody, and then figure it out. And then for some people, it's meet, greet, date, marriage, fight, get another one, right? Like, forget that one. And then it's the same thing. Meet, greet, and it's almost like, hey, let me show you. This is how you get prepared. This is how you get ready for it. This is how you understand the hard work. Because if you have your Bibles with you, your little iPhone app, you're on your Android, the But You version, go to the Song of Solomon, and we're going to pick up in chapter 3. And I'm going to show you 3 different times in relationships that many of you are in right now, and how to kind of work through those to get prepared for marriage. The Bible says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time for every season. There's a time for everything. You guys remember the time you were on cloud 9 with your significant other? You guys ever hear that? The title of my message today, by the way, is Get Your Head Out of the Clouds and Get Your Hands Dirty. In other words, so many people don't understand that the significance and the groundwork of marriage is not when you're in cloud 9 with that person. And just so you know what cloud 9 is when that person does nothing wrong. Like they are God's gift to this earth, and you can't believe that God gave to you. You're on cloud 9. My kids, I don't know if I've talked to you enough about them. I probably have, because they give me every illustration that I need to figure out everything about the Bible ever, right? But my kids are obsessed with their backsides. I don't know if anybody else has kids like that. Anybody else, just come on, just make me feel like I'm not. And they are obsessed with their 2 people. You guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody else is lying up in church right now. My kids are obsessed with their backside. You can't even say the word, right? Butt, and they just laugh, right? And they're just like ridiculous. They'll like run around. They'll be like, your butt stinks, and I'm like, that everybody's butt stinks. Like that's not funny. And they'll be like, you have diarrhea, right? And they're just like, they can't figure out how to put their clothes away. They can't figure out how to wipe the table up. They can't figure out anything. But somehow they figured out how to go down to my computer downstairs and find the little video button and make videos of their butts. I'm not sure how they did that, but they are obsessed with that. And so you have to be really careful when you're yelling at them not to say words that are going to set them off. And so like a couple months ago, my wife was having a conversation with them. And sometimes when you have a conversation with your kids, they just look at you like, they're not listening. You know what I'm saying? And my wife mistakenly said, take your heads out of your you-know-what and do what you're supposed to do. And immediately they're getting yelled at and scolded and do anything wrong. And all of a sudden they're like, she said, butt. Right? I mean, men never change, just so you know. Like some of y'all are like, that's hilarious. He said butt in church. Your butt does stink, right? Like, and they just laughed, and I thought to myself, like, you can't say anything. And what I want to tell you today is I want you to take your head out of that portion of your body when it comes to relationships, and I want you to understand that the fuel that's going to run your marriage is not found in cloud 9. It's not found when it's like, I'm madly falling for you. It's not found. It's a good time. We're going to see that in a second, that there's a time for it, but you have to keep going to get better prepared for marriage. Exactly what he said. There's a war coming. There's a battle to be fought. There's a land to be taken. The same thing he says at marriage. Maybe I should add that into my wedding vows. There's a war to be fought. It just depends on if you're going to fight together or you're going to fight each other. You have to get prepared for this. So if you have your Bibles, I want to take you into Song of Solomon chapter 3, and I want to kind of show you there's different times. There's a time for everything, a season for every activity under the sun. The first season you're going to see is there's a time of perfection. You guys remember this, single people? You married people, you remember this? You're like, no, I don't remember when my spouse was perfect ever, right? Ever. They're jacked. Like, there was a time in your relationship, maybe you're in it right now, when that person does no wrong. Like, you want to sleep with their jacket because it smells like their cologne, and you stay up all night. It used to be talking on the phone, listening to each other breathe, and now you text. That's your breathing, like sigh, bump, 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 bump. What is that? My heart's beating for you, right? Like, I don't understand people today. You text more than you talk. I don't understand that. That's fine. I get it. Not really, but you do. Like, you just sit there. You just text them and smiley faces and winky eyes and high fives. I give you a high five because you're perfect. Listen. Song of Solomon chapter 3, it deals with that. Check this out. It's talking, and if you ever read Song of Solomon, it's actually chapter 2, I'm sorry. If you ever read Song of Solomon, it's a conversation between a woman and a man, and you'll notice really quickly, nothing changes. The woman talks more. I'm just saying. And so Song of Solomon chapter 2, verse number 3 is the woman, and she's in the time of perfection. And this is what she says. She says, like an apple tree among the trees of the forest is my beloved among the young men. I delight to sit in his shade, and his fruit is sweet to my taste. Let him lead me to the banquet hall, and let his banner over me be love. I don't know if you like Shakespeare. This is like pre-Shakespeare stuff. But what she's saying is, she's saying, my man is better than your man. Like, my man is the tree among all trees. Like, I want to sit in his shade. And I'm not sure what she's meaning in this, but she says, I want his banner to be over me. So you just figure that out yourself. And then she keeps going. Strengthen me with raisins, refresh me with apples, for I am faint with love. She's in cloud 9. What does she say? Man, he's so hot, I'm about to pass out. Like, I need a raisin. Like, you know. Listen, you know you're desperate when you go to raisins. Like, nobody likes raisins, right? Give me a grape or something. Don't give me a raisin. Like, that's the last snack you go to in your pantry. Nobody goes for raisins, right? If you do, you're weird, right? Give me a raisin, she says. And then she says this, his left arm is under my head and his right arm embraces me. She's having a flashback right here, and she's saying, I remember when he was holding me, all right? And then it keeps going. It says, daughters of Jerusalem, I charge you by the gazelles and by the does of the field, do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. I want you to remember that verse. She keeps going, talking about her boyfriend, her relationship. She says, listen, my beloved, look, here he comes, leaping across the mountains, bounding over the hills. Look, you know you got it bad when you're a dude and you start prancing to your girlfriend. Right? Like, you got it bad when you, listen, if it was written today, it would say, look, there he is holding my purse in the mall, right? You know you got it bad when you start holding the purse. Look, there he is going into a convenience store or a pharmacy to get me my lady products. Like, listen, that's just truth. Don't ever ask a man to do that, by the way. But you know you got it bad when you're going into the pharmacy and you don't even care because you are in love. You're prancing through the lady aisle looking around, and you're like, everybody's thinking you're weird at this point. You're like, I don't care, I'm in love, right? Keeps going, it says this, my beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. That's what Leah calls me. It's weird. Look. There he stands behind our wall, gazing through the windows, peering through the lattice. Dude's playing peekaboo with her. Guys, you remember this time in your life when you're like, look, every ounce of anything tough, my man card, just take it, because I am in love. Like, I got it bad. I am in cloud 9 right now. My beloved spoke, and he said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. There's this one verse in that section that is pretty serious. She says this, she says, daughters of Jerusalem. She just goes over all these things, like he's so hot, he's so amazing, he holds me right, he talks to me, he looks in my eyes, he looks at me when we're talking, he puts his phone down, he goes into the pharmacy for me, he even plays peekaboo. We run through the field together, we have picnics, he even wears cologne for me. Like he is in love with me. But she says, look, in that season, let me give you a little bit of advice. She says, daughters of Jerusalem, check this out. I charge you by the gazelles and by the does of the field. Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. What's she saying right here? She's saying you're going to go through a time of perfection. We all do. You're going to go through a time when that person is just amazing. Like you just think that they've done no wrong. But the truth is, if we're not careful, our emotions in this season will take us places that we're not prepared to go. The truth is that great relationships are not built on an explosive one-time meeting where you are just so full of lust and there's just this dynamite connection where you just can't stop. The truth is that mainly and positively most of the time happens to everyone. No one meets and then they fall in love and all stuff and they're like, they're all right. They're all right. I mean, they're if you do, you need to get out of that relationship. They're all right. Like they ain't no stag, right? They ain't the tree among trees. Like they're just a little tree. They haven't carried my purse yet. They're all right. Like everybody's like, they're incredible. Why? I don't even know why they're incredible. They're just incredible because of the way I feel about it. Like they are incredible. You're in the season of perfection. Like my kids went down to First Friday a few weeks ago and they stopped at the table at Grace Valley Fellowship, right, one of the local churches in town that we're partners with, and they stopped there and at Grace Valley they were handing out little cups to put dirt and a flower seed in, and so they put this dirt and this flower seed in it, and they took it home, and they cracked me up. They were like, we got to put this in the sun the next day. I'm like, you're right, we got to put it in the sun and it won't grow. So they're like, let's go outside and put it in the sun. And in our house, the sun rises in the back and then it sets in the front. And so I was like, take it to the front where we have a little walkway and put it there. So they walk out and they said, we can't do that. And I said, why? They said, because the sun's not here yet. And I said, yeah, that's right, but the sun moves. And the sun will be here for most of the day. It's just not here yet because you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so the sun's not even up yet. Just wait for a couple minutes. The sun will be here. So we have this big argument, and they put it there. And then they look at me, and they say, well, can we just move it out to like where the sun's at because it's just peeking over the roof right now and put it there. And so I said, no, just leave it right here because if you put it in the road, a car's going to run over it. And they said, well, we need to put it in the sun because we need our flower to grow before Mother's Day because it was a couple days before Mother's Day. And I had to explain to them, listen, there's a seed in the dirt somewhere. And the sun is healthy for it. But it needs a whole lot of sun to grow a plant. It's not going to be here today. It's not going to be here tomorrow. It's not going to be here in a couple days. In a couple weeks, you might see a little green thing popping up. But you're going to have to let this go because even though you're ready for it, like you want the flower now, it takes time. And so many times I want to look at people, I want to say, look, you want what everybody else has, or you have this picture of what you want, but you don't understand that the time you're in right now is a great time. The season of perfection is an awesome time, but it's also a time that's short, and you need to do very specific things in that time, but understand it's probably going to end, and you're going to need to be prepared to move into the next season. If you go from relationship to relationship to relationship and all you ever expect is that you have that explosion of feelings and then every time those feelings end, you're just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to get married, you're going to get divorced, you're going to get married, you're going to get separated, you're going to have a kid, and it's just going to keep kind of going like that. So here's a couple things you should limit during this time. You ready? Because this is really hard. The first thing is you should limit your time together during this season or time of your life. You ever have those friends, they find somebody, they're single, they want to hang out with you all the time, they're lonely, right? Everything is about how single they are. And then they get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you don't see them for like a year, right? Every time you try to call them, they're like, I can't. Why? Because I'm with Shanista, right? I'm with Shane, Moses, whatever, whoever. We together right now. Well, can we do something? Well, let me ask Shanista. Can we do it? No. Why? Because you're mine now. We spent all of our time together. Let me give you some encouragement. Here's what you should do when you first start dating somebody and you fall madly for them and they're just amazing and they completed your life and they've done everything, which, by the way, they haven't completed your life. You just feel like they have right now. Is you should limit the amount of time that you spend with them. And honestly, what you should do is you should observe the way that they spend time with other people. You should see how that they honor their mom and dad if their mom and dad are around. You should see how they relate with their friends. You should be able to step back from them and go, let me see how you are with your work schedule. Let me see how you are with your responsibilities. Let me see how you act. Let me step a little bit back. Let me not give you every ounce of every moment that I have. Another thing you should limit is you should limit your talk. Listen, in the time of perfection, you're really badly going to want to go, well, I love you. I love you so much. I just love you. We throw that word love around a lot. Did you know that? I'll be watching Facebook and you see somebody start dating and it's like you see them, all of a sudden they meet and they're on Facebook and then they have all these pictures together and then they're in a relationship, right? And then like 2 days later it's like, baby, I love you. What you mean you love them? I am love-y-dovey over you. You know what the word love means? Love is actually an action word. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not self-seeking. What you're saying is, I don't love the way you make me feel, but I'm ready to love you selflessly for the rest of my life. And you're not ready to do that at 2 months. You're not ready to do that at 3 months. You're not even ready to do that, you're just not ready at 1 day. You're not ready to go. You should limit your talk, and I know how hard it is, because as soon as I met Leah, I was like, God, I love her. God, I just love, but what happens is you put pressure on your relationship and you force it to go places. It's not ready to go yet. All of a sudden, you're not saying, your boyfriend didn't say he loved you one time because you've been dating for 2.5 months, and all of a sudden, he didn't say you love him. You're like, you don't love me anymore. And all of a sudden, you're that girl. Let me tell you something. If I ever have a son, he dates that girl, I'm telling him to run. Because if you're high maintenance at 2.5 months, I don't want to see you when you're married. Tell me you love me. What you mean is, I don't understand my value, my worth. I don't find my esteem in Jesus. I need you to tell me, verbally build me up. You need to limit your talk. Don't throw around words that you're not ready to say. The last one, this one's maybe the most important, because when you have that, you see what she says. She said, he put his arm around me. He is a stallion. You need to limit your touch. You need to limit your touch in this moment. You are madly in love. You have all these emotional juices going around. You need to limit your touch. I'll tell you like this. There was a little boy who once found a little bird on the side of the street, and he picked up the little bird, and he put it in his hand, and he squeezed it. And as he was running home, because he didn't want to drop the little bird, he squeezed it tighter and tighter and tighter until he got home, and he said, Mommy, 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 I found a little bird. I got a little bird. And she said, where's the little bird at? And he said, it's in my hand. I've been holding on to it. And he says, look at my little bird. And he opens it up, and the little bird is squished. And it's dead. And he's like, little bird, he's dead. It's not moving. I see his insides. That's what you do to your relationship in this season. You get this little bird, you grab a hold of it, you're running around. I love you. I'm spending all this time with you. You know, we're doing stuff that we only should be doing when we're married, and we're not even close to marriage because we've only known each other for 2 months, and we barely even experienced any sort of real relationship. It's just been a constant. I love you. I'm with you. It's just, oh. And you open your hand one day, and little birdie squished from all the pressure you've put into that relationship. As girls, you want this guy to be your savior. I'm telling you something, young ladies. If you are looking for a God to be your savior, we will always fall short. Can I get an amen, guys? Like we can barely remember your birthday. Much else be able to fulfill your every need, your every desire, your every insecurity. Same with guys. Season of perfection. The next season is this, you'll see, is the season of preparation. Do you know that God always does divine works in the winter? Like, you know what the winter's like. You remember the winter? A couple months ago? You were like, it's never going to end. The truth is, though, is this summer, I don't know if you're like me, I usually hate the summer. And the reason I hate the summer is because it slows everything down at the church. But this summer, I don't care. You want to skip church? That's between you and God. Because I am going to enjoy the summer. You want to know why? Because this winter was from hell. And so every day it's warm. Are you with me? Every day it's warm. We're like running outside. We're sucking in the B12 or whatever it is you get from the sun. I don't know what it is. Vitamin D, something like that. You're rubbing on, lathering yourself up with suntan lotion or Tropicana or whatever it is. And you are just enjoying. We're going everywhere. Every museum, every beach. Man, we're going to hit every beach on the East Coast this summer. Every day. We're going to suck every ounce of summer. Why? Because winter was awful. Typically, it's like, yeah, summer's here. It's good. I got 5Ks. I got all that stuff. But, winter wasn't 16 months. So it's fine. But long winters usually produce great summers. And a lot of times in our life, we don't enjoy the season of preparation. We don't enjoy it. Check out what it says. It says, see, in verse 11, the winter is past, the rains are over and gone. What she's saying is I've waited for you for a long time. I've waited for you for a long time. Flowers appear on the earth. The season of singing has come. The cooing of doves is heard in our land. The fig tree forms its early fruit. The blossoming vines spread their fragrance. Arise, come, my darling, my beautiful one. Come with me, she says. What she's saying is there's been a season of winter. There's been a season of preparation. There's been a season of God accomplishing things in my life. Some of the best marriage advice I've ever gotten, because some people are always like, if I just could find the right person, I would be happy. And that is such a myth, by the way. The best thing you can do if you're a single person, you're like, I'm single right now. I'm not even in a season of anything. I'm in a season of failure right now. I'm in a season of heartache. I'm in a season of ice cream on Friday night. I'm sad, Pastor. I'm not in a season. You are in a season right now, just so you know. God is always wanting to accomplish something in your life. And so what you need to understand is instead of always saying, I need to find the right person, I need to get out in church more and look around more, I need to get to the beach more and check out the equipment there, however you want to say it, and find this person. The truth is, you need to ask God to make you the right person. In the season of preparation, what you're asking God to do is prepare me, whether I'm single, prepare us, whether we've been dating for a couple months, prepare me to have a good marriage. Prepare me not to have a good marriage with that person, but prepare me to be a good spouse for that person. Prepare me one day as a single person. Begin to prepare me. Somebody like, how do I get prepared as a single person? Single people tend to be really self-centered. Just so you know. It's not a bad thing, because when it's only you, it's awesome. Like, don't hate that season. When you get up and you go, hey, what do you want to do today, self? I think I want to go to the mall. Sweet, self, let's go. You know what my life is like? Hey, I think we should go to the mall today at 6 o'clock in the morning. The mall opens at 10. Well, we have 4 hours to get ready. Okay, we'll go tomorrow because we need at least 8 hours to get ready. Because Harrison has to eat, Leah has to get ready. You have to do your hair today? Yes, okay, we'll add another 30 minutes to that. Okay, my boys, we can't even control you because one of you's here, one of you's there. Pick up the message you made, do all this stuff. And when we get out of it, we're going on vacation this week. Man, it is a week-long process just to prepare for vacation. I need a vacation from packing from my vacation. And so don't despise your life as a single person, but also remember that God gives you a lot of time in that season to not focus only on yourself. I need more. I just need this. I need that. God's saying, no, you don't need all that. You need to do something. Go serve someone. Go be part of something bigger than yourself. Go somewhere where you're not looking for anything except for God to do something in your life. A season of preparation, a season of getting you prepared. I remember when I was dating my wife, and we were dating for like 7 months. I was in Bible college, so I knew nothing about relationships. All that I knew about relationships is you found the person you wanted to marry and you got married sometime within the first 6 months. That's what you do at Bible college. And then you're good. You're complete. You know, God's brought the girl into your life that plays the piano for your altar call. And so, you know, all that stuff. So you're good. So I found Leah my sophomore year, and within the first 7 months, you know, I'm just in love with her, and we're engaged. And, you know, I can talk to you about my engagement story sometime. It was awesome. And so, not really. And so I get engaged, and then we're about to get married, but I hadn't gone through the season of being prepared. So, like, I wasn't paying my bills, right? I had one bill. And when I say bills, I mean bill. And I just wasn't paying it. And the reason I wasn't paying my bill was a car bill for $140 a month. That was my only bill when I was 19 years old. Isn't that awesome? Like, that's I thought that was a lot of money back then. Like, I have a $140 car payment. Now I'm like, if I could have a car payment for $140 and that's it, that'd be awesome. I spend $140 on baby wipes every month. And so I remember I wasn't paying my bill, and we were about to get married. We were about to do all this stuff, and then my parents found out I wasn't paying my bill on my car, and I wasn't going to class. But here's the thing. I was in love, though. Like, I couldn't even go to class. There were some days we fought, and I just couldn't get out of my bed because I was just in love. I hurt. I couldn't pay my bills because I was going on dates. And listen, I had to pay. We had to go to Chili's 6 times a week. We had to. Like, I was doing all the stuff my mom and dad said, you can't get married. And I remember I was being so mad. And I look back on it now, and I realized that I was postponing my marriage because I needed more season of preparation so that one day I could postpone my divorce, which is still being postponed, by the way. See, that's essentially what you're doing right now. You're postponing stuff, getting prepared so you can postpone the heartache of later results of your marriage. There's so many people, they go in and they're ready to go, but they have no idea what they're doing, and then divorce comes because they fought a war against each other instead of together. A season of getting ready. The third season is this, and this is maybe the most important, is after you go through a season of perfection, and then you go through a season of preparation. The last season is a season of discovery, of figuring out that person. See, one thing that happens is after they become unperfect, which they already are anyways, is then you start figuring out who they really are. You ever have those conversations? Like the real conversations. You'll see what he says. He finally talks, by the way. He's like, I got something to say. Can I say it? Okay, thank you, ma'am. That's why you're perfect, right? In verse 14, he says, my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the hiding places on the mountainside, show me your face, let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your face is lovely. He starts off the conversation like every man should, complimenting his future bride. Your face is lovely. Then he says this. He says, almost as if, because I love you so much, because I want this to be forever, because I want to fight this war with you, this battle with you. He says this, he says, catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards, our vineyards that are in bloom. In other words, what he's saying is he's saying, we've developed this garden. We've went through the harvest. You see, the harvest time is really important. We went through the season of perfection, but we've also remembered in the season of perfection that we shouldn't arouse and awaken love. We should take our time. We went through the season of getting prepared, patient, and now he says, now let's make sure that we have every conversation that we should have to catch the little foxes. And what he's saying, I don't know if you've ever seen a fox, but foxes are just little wily scoundrels, right? And they kind of just get in and rip stuff apart. And what he's saying is, let's keep an eye out for things that could come into our relationship that could destroy it. And if you're a married person, you see this. You see how you get married and you've kind of went through the seasons and you get married and it's all great, and then all of a sudden these little foxes are coming into your life. The little foxes are, we don't spend time together anymore. We don't talk together. We never do anything together. We take each other for granted. Physically, we let ourselves go. Emotionally, we're disconnected. Just kind of take you for granted. What he's saying is, he's saying before we get there, let's have some conversations. And there's two things I would tell you. If you are through the season of perfection, you're like, oh, I'm through that season. I've been through that season for a long time. Maybe you're into the season of getting prepared and you're moving towards the altar and you're figuring out kind of the relationship thing. You're figuring out how to fight fair. You're figuring out how to make decisions. You're figuring out. Then you go through a season of discovery. And here's two really important things you should talk about. Number one, you should talk about your past if you're here right now. I'm not talking about like detail, like, you know, my last boyfriend was way nicer than you. Just way nicer. You're never going to measure up to him. I mean, that's, come on, dumb, right? But you do talk about your past. You talk about things that have happened to you. Talk about things that have gone on. I had a buddy one time, and he got his baby mama pregnant, which obviously that would make it the baby mama. Said that wrong. He got his girlfriend pregnant, which was then his baby mama. And they had all this past in the relationship, all this known past, like just kind of getting drunk together and then just hooking up and then not seeing each other for a while. And one night they kind of just got drunk and hooked up and she got pregnant. And then he was like, I need to do the right thing. But he still struggled with alcohol. So she was pregnant and she was living with him. And of course, when your wife is pregnant or your baby mama, your girlfriend is pregnant and in the house with you, if you're married, if you're not married, you know what that's like. And it's hard. That's one of the hard. That's called the season of hardship right there. The time of craziness. I'm pretty sure it says that in the Bible. Morning sickness, you know, changing of bodies, all that stuff. I mean, men have it easy. And during that season, they were fighting a lot. He said, Steve, one night I went out and I got drunk because I was depressed and I slept with somebody else. And I can't tell her now because I was always like, when are you going to get married to her? And he said, I can't get married because I can't talk about the past. I can't talk about what's going on. I can't talk about the mistakes that I made. And here's what I've always thought. I would argue that someone can forgive your past more than they can forgive your current deceit. I'm telling you, you got to talk. It's not like you guys both came to the altar as saints. The way you got together was kind of sinful. The way that your relationship is kind of wrong. You live together right now. You're not married. So there's not really higher ground. So let's just stop being deceitful and let's just get it all in the open and let's move towards the altar so that God can bless your relationship and do what he wants to do in your family and in your son's life. Remember, he just wouldn't talk about it. Some of the best times of my life have been the times when we've talked about issues and things that have happened to us in the past. Leah, when she talked to me about when she got molested when she was a young girl, it's not a secret. We've talked about it in church before. There was just this connection there where it was like, okay, I know that's going to come into our marriage, and I know that's going to be a part of the burden that I carry, but that's where love is. But I choose not to love her because she's messed up or she's faulty, but to love you regardless of what's happened to you in the past, regardless of the pain that you struggle with, because you know what? I came to her and I said, well, I had all these things wrong with me. I had this hard relationship. I had this said to me, and this was said to me over my life, and it could affect the way that I treat you. I could turn out like the person that said that about me. We talked about our past. It was a great season. You don't get that season in the season of perfection because everybody's perfect. And the other thing you talk about is you talk about your plans together. I wanted to be a pastor when I was 18, 19 years old. I didn't really know what that meant. But I can't tell you how hard it would have been for me to be dating somebody that I would look to and I would say, what do you want to do when you go to, I want to make a lot of money. Well, we should be pastors. I want to have a big house and live in California. Well, you know what? We're going to move to Pennsylvania someday. It's awesome. Cleanest state in the world. Nicest people. And I remember having these conversations with her. And I can't tell you how awesome it is that as a 34-year-old, and she's 33, she's a little younger than me, y'all, that we had a plan from the day we got married. We didn't know what it looked like, but we both had the same plans for our future. And so now it's good because then there's times when one of us wants to give up and one of us wants to quit and one of us wants to move away. And one of us wants to move into something more comfortable. We can say, no. The plans that God has for us, we talked about them. We understand it. We're on the same team. There's nothing worse than being married to a person on a different team. There's nothing worse. So these conversations are essential. Some of you are right there. You're on the brink of thinking about popping the question. Everybody's popping the question right now at Journey Church. This is awesome. You're on the brink of it. Like everybody else getting engaged, it's your turn. And before you do, just real quick, hey, let's have real conversation. Maybe you've already been doing it and you're already prepared. Maybe you're a single person. You're like, I've been single forever. 3 weeks, Pastor. God's like, just be patient. Why? Perfection takes patience. Maybe you're in the brand new season and you got this little bird in your hand and you're in love and you know you've been putting pressure on it and you're taking the relationship places that it shouldn't be. And you're hearing God say, just slow down. Just slow down. You're not going to be alone. This is the person that you're supposed to be with. Do it the way I'm telling you to do it. Slow down. And let me develop the relationship with them that you're supposed to have. I'm not sure what it is. If you're a married person, maybe you're saying, I'm married. I'm way past season of perfection. Nothing could prepare me to be married to this person. And I've discovered everything about them. And I don't like it. And I'm stuck, Pastor. I'll talk to you about it over the next couple of weeks.